So these snapshots, right, on the state of our movement help us develop a shared assessment about where we are in 2018. Because as our ally, Taj James, as the Movement Strategy Center says, in order to develop a winning strategy, we have to know where we are, where we're starting from, and where we're going, right? So to that end, the state of the movement is also about naming what's on the horizon for all of us to help us collectively identify what we're going to give our energy and resources to in hospicing the old, as well as what we're going to breathe life into to build the new. For us, the new is a philanthropy that recognizes the civil, indigenous, and human rights of all by redistributing all aspects of well-being. As Dr. King reminds us, redistribution requires us to reject the accumulation of wealth and power, which necessitates the redistribution of social, political, and economic resources. Redistribution also requires us to let go of two narratives that currently dominate philanthropy: charity and investment. And to be clear, letting go is both an intellectual exercise as well as ending all the daily practices that we engage in that calcify injustice or breathe life into our collective liberation. As a network that found its purpose following the murder of Oscar Grant, the events of the last year required us to examine how we were going to take the lessons from California's history to bring forth the world we seek. California's transition from a conservative stronghold 25 years ago with the passage of Propositions 187, 209, the recall of Gray Davis, and the election of celebrity Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger mirrors 2017's national election. The results of California's 2017 election, though, where we voted to tax the ultra-wealthy, protect renters, rethink public safety, was not due to the demographic changes that Manuel Pastor at USC notes 40 years ahead of the rest of the country, but due to the intentional development of movement scaffolding through grassroots organizing. This is the lesson that California has to offer the nation and is one that informed how we think about our work. So when the folks at Movement Generation very lovingly, but very firmly and clearly asked how we were going to facilitate the just transition in philanthropy, we began to ask ourselves, what is the scaffolding or building blocks do justice funders need? And we realized that as a local membership network, our ability to answer this call was constrained at a time that the field was clamoring for increased philanthropic solidarity. We began by evaluating our strengths. Our collective thought leadership documented in the Choir Book, a framework for social justice philanthropy, is being used across the country in New York, Connecticut, Texas, Florida, Washington, Alaska, and internationally in Canada, the Netherlands, and Africa. 100% of the participants of our Harmony Initiative have been able to make at least one change to their grant making, to make their grant making more equitable. And so what is immeasurable is how these 40 individuals will now go on to improve the quality and quantity of resources flowing to movements. We will begin inviting applications to our next Bay Area cohort and hope folks in the room will apply. And in partnership with local leaders of frontline organizations and many of you in the room, we have been able to successfully coordinate and align over $1.5 million in the last 3 years to support regional power building efforts through Bay Rising and Lift Up Contra Costa. So building on these successful interventions to reimagine philanthropic practices, Justice Funders is now the outgrowth and the scaling mechanism of the local work incubated at the Bay Area Justice Funders Network. The Bay Area Justice Funders Network will continue to be a regional community for learning and action within Justice Funders, in addition to professional and leadership development, coaching and consulting for organization transformation, as well as a lab for experimental philanthropy. So like the musical triangle that tunes the entire orchestra, Justice Funders will be a partner and guide for philanthropy and reimagining practices that advance a just and thriving world. So to do so, we're scaling our programmatic work in partnership with our sister affinity groups in a way that honors their relationships as national or international membership organizations and allows us to bring our leadership development and consulting practice to other communities, as well as to support philanthropic institutions in reimagining how their organizations operate as justice funders. Through surveys and interviews, we heard about the value of our being a political home for philanthropy, and we will continue to power philanthropy as well as philanthropic transformation as a political home, as well as a community of practice for action, experimentation, and innovation. Towards that end, later this year, we will launch a framework to support organizational transformation of philanthropic organizations, as well as pilot the Maestro program to equip philanthropic leadership with the strategy, skills, and support to guide their organizations through a just transition and align practices with the values and needs of the communities that they fund. While we increase our culture change work on philanthropic praxis, we know that we must also innovate. So building on our existing grant-making interventions of aligning philanthropic resources around movement-developed strategy as exhibited by our support of Bay Rising and Lift Up Contra Costa, we will begin experimenting with interventions that unlock resources from individual donors and investment dollars for movements. In order for the Justice Funders team to power philanthropic transformation, we're so fortunate to have the wisdom of Mario Lugai as Justice Funders' new collaboration director, Maria Nakai as Justice Funders' new engagement director, and Maria and Mario join Rachel Humphrey and I in anchoring this work. In this journey to create the world that we need, we've been so fortunate to have the leadership of Myra Chow, Shally Iyer, Alex Desautel, Alex Sang-Chin, and Kat Gilia on our steering committee. And much appreciation to Alex as he steps down after 4 years of leadership. This pivot and expansion of our organization and programmatic scope would not be possible without the active participation of our members, supporters, and partners. So we thank all of you. Thank you for organizing with us and through us. We are so grateful to be in community with the frontline leaders who inspire our work and keep us humble and accountable, and to our funder leaders who have co-created this vehicle in which to transform philanthropy. Thank you to Ev for hosting us today, for emceeing, to all the presenters and volunteers, and to the Moxie team for our new organizational imagery. But moreover, this event, and literally the advancing of my slides, would not be possible without the hard work, humor, and leadership of Alistair Malinen, who has served as BAJF's Communication and Membership Manager. As of tomorrow, Alistair pivots full-time to Common Council, and we will miss him so dearly, but wish him well. And if you all will permit me one moment with the mic, I'd actually like to invite Alex and Alistair to join me up here. Because each of you have contributed so much into who we are.
Into the mic, Dana.
Into who we are, thank you, into who we are and who we're becoming. And I think, as you know, some of your work is obvious and immediate, and some of your contributions won't be felt until we have the benefit of time and distance. But I think especially in our movements and in philanthropy, it is so rare that we find folks who are able to lead with love. And so on that note, we wanted to gift the both of you with this lovely print from one of BAJF's foremothers, Melanie Cervantes, who talks about power without love being reckless and abusive, and love without power is sentimental and anemic. Power at its best is love implementing the demands of justice. And justice at its best is power correcting everything that stands against love. So thank you both. So while we invite you to celebrate the work we've done together, make no mistake, this is a call to action. And so, with power and purpose, onward.